This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City return to the five boroughs to take on the Chicago Fire. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
Welcome, everybody. Yes, we are at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York, where May 10th was the last time we visited Yankee Stadium for a New York City match. And it was a 3-0 win over the Columbus Crew, who was the most recent recipients of a New York City defeat on the road 2-1 to open up the second half of the season just a couple of nights ago. On a Wednesday night, all 30 MLS teams played on Wednesday. All 30 will be in action again tonight. Well, here we are. I'm Glenn. He's Matty. We'll have the live commentary for you on our radio side, which is NYCFC radio. NYCFC.com/radio, NYCFC app, TuneIn app, and also Apple TV. You can sync us up with the video portion of the New York City playing host to the Chicago Fire broadcast, and it's Robert Lewandowski in the air, Matty, and we saw a wonderful picture earlier where if you go into that left corner by the foul pole, and you could still see those wearing Poland tops or
Polish flags there.
We've got a Polish flag.
Yep.
We had Bayern Munich Lewandowski jerseys.
There's a couple of Barcelona ones I can see. So yeah, there's jerseys of all shapes and sizes except Chicago Fire or New York City FC we can see so far. But
maybe it was like the Messi thing early
cheek.
on. Yeah, the Messi thing early on, it was all Argentina jerseys. And anyway, he was there in the corner just kind of inspecting the baseball field, which certainly has to be a revelation for him. He made his Fire debut. Unfortunately for the Fire, it was at a 3-2 defeat at Inter Miami. No insult there, but he barely touched the ball. He was really not that much part of the game. And even for a world figure, even though he's 37 years old, Matty, the one thing we kind of said about a 23-year-old named Benny Traore, the new DP for New York City FC, there's going to be a period of adjustment, yeah?
There's going to be a huge period of adjustment. And also you need to work out what type of player Lewandowski is. Lewandowski thrives on being given chances. Lewandowski is not Messi. He's not going to go drop back to the centre circle, pick the ball up and beat 10 men. He wants to be provided with chances. And he's used to playing with people, with all due respect, with people who see his runs a lot quicker than Chicago Fire players do, and he plays with players who can put a ball on the sixpence for him, and he'll hit the back of the net. It's going to take time to adjust. I hope it doesn't go south, but I just think of Shaqiri, I think of Pirlo, I think of Steven Gerrard, players who've come to the end of their career, and it really hasn't worked in MLS. Hopefully I'm proven wrong, but to lose Kuipers, who we know is adjusted to MLS, 13 goals in 11 MLS games in 2026, and you treat Kuipers with, I don't know whether it's disrespect, but you bring Lewandowski in over his head, you give him his shirt. Who knows what that does to the ego of a footballer? Because any footballer to
strikers generally have more ego than anybody else in the squad.
And it's all been about Kuipers. He scored 13 in 11 games. It's no surprise that he went elsewhere.
Look, we have, I don't know, are you watching from Poland? But I'm from Poland. We have somebody who's very interested in Lewandowski, and he is the GOAT. Some people think it's Messi. Some people think it's Ronaldo. But here we have a GOAT reference to Lewandowski. I want to play a couple of things from Greg Berhalter, the head coach of the Chicago Fire, because what's very interesting, this first clip is going to be from July 16th. So from the time that Lewandowski agreed to join Chicago, Greg Berhalter has said he can find a way to play Kuipers and Lewandowski together. So they've been working, well, as you'll hear, you know, the two front would be maybe the only way. Here's what Berhalter said on July the 16th about Kuipers and Lewandowski together.
Part of what we've been doing these last months is working through what it would look like in a two-striker system. And we did that on purpose to get a lot of video, a lot of footage. It's not too common to play with two strikers nowadays, but we've been working hard on what that looks like around the penalty box, what the combinations look like, how to affect the back line with two strikers. And we have some really good data points. We've been scoring goals lately. We've been, really picking apart the back line. And we don't see any reason why that can't continue with Hugo and Robert on the field together. They're both high quality players. They're both players that, can take advantage of a small amount of space, can finish under pressure, can finish in small spaces. So we're actually really excited about this possibility, and we think that it can be a great combination.
Now, 5 days later, in that same scenario at a press conference, Greg Berhalter explained the transfer of Hugo Kuipers to Monterrey in Liga MX.
Is also, I think, shrewd with our decision making, and Hugo. Came to us and expressed a desire to go elsewhere. And for us, it was finding good value in that deal. We knew that there's a couple things at play. And by the way, the deal is not finalized yet. It's still, it's still being completed, but we have an agreement in principle. And we think it gives us some flexibility now. For us, it's about now looking to go strengthen the team in other areas. And I think, we were excited about trying a 4-4-2. We thought it had potential. Alas, we never get to see it actually on the field. It was good in concept. But in reality, I think if we have the opportunity to strengthen in other areas, we can perhaps come out on the better end of this. And, his contract expired in 18 months. He has a 1-year option. For us, it was trying to get value. We paid a big sum for him, and to try to recoup some of those expenses and use those resources to strengthen other areas was our idea. And at the same time, helping a player in his wishes. Hugo's been a great addition to this club. We're always going to remember his time here. We move forward.
Yeah, so a great addition to the club. He finally got a comfort level where he was the Golden Boot leader at the break with 13, right?
Yes.
And Chicago in third place in great part due to his frequent goal scoring. Third place in the Eastern Conference. They haven't seen that sort of elevation in many, many years. So it just seems like a risk, even though Lewandowski, I mean, it's hard not to bring him into your side if you have that opportunity, so it's crazy.
But in a sporting sense, it's still a huge risk. Lewandowski's 38, he's 39 next month. He's not coming to the end, but he's not far off the end of his career. His goal ratio has gone down since he's gone to La Liga. I know La Liga's not the same as the Bundesliga, obviously, but he was in scintillating form in the Bundesliga. But yes, he's nearly 40. It's inevitable that his production rate is going to go down. He didn't exactly have great legs anyway, so that's not going to go down. A lot of it is his own, football IQ, his own ability to get into the box. I just think that forcing Kuipers out, which was kind of done, I'm sure no one's going to admit to that, but if they wanted Kuipers to stay, he had 18 months left on his deal, so what do? You give him a new deal. You give him a new deal and you make sure he stays, but they didn't do that. And then, hand over the number 9 shirt to Lewandowski. I wonder whether that was Lewandowski's idea or the football club's idea. And it's gone south so far. But we're only a game in, aren't we? We're only a game in. They won their last 3 games before the World Cup break, did Chicago Fire. And since then, without Hugo Kuipers, they've lost a game. But it was only 1 game, and it was away from home against Inter Miami. I think the worrying thing for Chicago Fire against Inter Miami was how open they looked defensively. Forget at the other end of the field. They've been really solid defensively, Chicago Fire, this season. I think they conceded 16 goals in 14 games, and then they concede 3 in 1 game. So that will be problematic for Berhalter. And with Lewandowski, what do we always say about centre forwards? They're the first line of defence. Lewandowski is not chasing, hassling, harrying from fullback to fullback like Kuipers did. Yep. Kuipers has a decade on him. Kuipers is a different type of footballer. Lewandowski is a pure finisher. He is not going to be pressing. He's not going to be winning the ball high up the field. Occasionally it will work, but most of the time it won't. So, Glenn, this is totally different now for Chicago Fire. They have got to play a completely different type of football because of one man. So they better make sure they get him chances. If you don't get him chances, he's not going to do anything. Get him chances and he will score.
He's 37. The reason we're spending so much time on him is really his goal-scoring record. Just for the record, 63 minutes in his Fire debut against Inter Miami. He had only one shot, and it was blocked. Yeah. He only had 25 touches in that entire hour-plus shift, so obviously there is some work to be done.
We know that can work with centre forwards because we've seen it happen time and time again for Erling Haaland, whether it's for Norway or whether it's for Manchester City. And Man City, it's taken them a little while, have learned how to play with Haaland. But Haaland does have the ability to work hard and press. He doesn't touch the ball very often, but he is fit. He will press the ball. Lewandowski is fit, but he's very nearly 38 next month. Different type of person, different type of attributes. Let's see how it works. And even today, we're not going to know. Even if he scores a hat-trick today, we're not going to know that Lewandowski is going to be a success. Let's see what happens at the end of the season, where Chicago Fire are in the Eastern Conference, and whether Lewandowski scored more than 13 goals in 11 games like Hugo Kuipers did, because that's what he's got to do to prove that he is a success in comparison to losing Hugo Kuipers, who's still got another 5, 6, 7, 8 years ahead of him. If you'd have wanted Kuipers to stay and you'd have paid him properly, I know he was on a good wage anyway, but whatever you had to do, you could have made Kuipers stay, that is for sure. But that just hasn't panned out. So we'll see what they get out of Lewandowski.
And just in regard to his goal-scoring record, 120 goals in 193 matches at Barcelona. Prior to that, 344 in 375 for Bayern Munich. And prior to that, 103 goals in 187 matches for Borussia Dortmund, 88 goals in 160 matches for Poland, 13-time Polish Footballer of the Year. And this one is really impressive. Third most goals in Champions League history with 109, at trailing only Ronaldo and Messi, who have been, unbelievable in the UCL. So that's the guy. That's why we're spending so much time on him. And certainly we hope we don't have the Chicago 11 yet. Chris Sakonis, part of our broadcast team, he will be sending me that as soon as we have it. We do have the New York City starters, Matty, and just one change. So Benny Traore, the new DP, who made his debut against Columbus as a starter and went about 55 minutes and really struggled from a fitness standpoint. He will work from the bench tonight. And Tylus Magno, who had a wonderful assist on the game-winning goal, he gets rewarded with the start.
Yeah. Throughout his NYCFC career, though, Tylus Magno has always done well off the bench, from what I remember. He can have a positive effect on the game when players are tired. I can't remember a good game Tylus Magno has had over 90 minutes when he starts a game of football, Glenn. That's, for me, what he's got to do now. Prove that you can be a starter. Be productive from the very beginning of the game. It doesn't mean you have to score goals and provide assists, but prove that it's worth the gaffer's while having you out there. Because you can tell me if I'm wrong, Glenn. I'm happy to be proved wrong. I don't remember many games where I'm like, wow, he started the game, and boy, was he a good player throughout the game. I know he has the ability to be a good player because we've seen it, but more often than not, it's off the bench. It's in fits and starts, and in 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, Glenn.
That's right.
And I think that's a pretty spot-on evaluation of him. And I'd love to see him prove me wrong today and prove that he can go out there and do it, Glenn, as a starter.
Just to give you, this will be his 94th game for New York City after coming back from the loan, starting here. 58th start out of those matches. So, generally he's been a starter more than a reserve, but not by much. And that was in his first stint with the club, and now coming back from loan. We even said it the other day that it would appear if Traore, comes in and makes do, that Magno's going to be somewhat of a permanent late game sub. And considering what he did against Columbus, that might be a perfect role for him.
And he's done it a couple of times this season. I can't remember the specific games, but he's come on and had a positive influence. He's somebody who is incredibly gifted technically. So it is good to see him off the bench sometimes. But look, as a professional footballer, you want to start the game, that's for sure. You don't want to be almost sat there on the bench picking daffodils or doing whatever, waiting for your time to come in the 70th minute. For me, Glenn, you've got to be a starter. So let's start today if you're Tyler Magno and try and keep Traore out the side. Traore struggled last week, but that's no surprise. We talked about it time and time again in the broadcast. This is a kid, and he's only a kid. He's only just 23 years of age, come to a new country, new language, new style of football, different physicality, different team, different teammates. It's no wonder at all, Glenn, that it will take him time.
We just got the starting 11 for Chicago, and Lewandowski's starting the game on the bench. So we will not see him from the beginning, and whether we see him at all will certainly be up to the coach, and that's Greg Berhalter and Robin Lod, Haile Selassie, who started up top with Lewandowski in the Miami match. Radojevich is in the lineup. He was not at the start in the last one. Jack Elliott is the captain. We'll go through the entire Chicago lineup at a point in time. Let's go back and look at the New York City and their 11, but in particular in goal, Matt Freese. And I wanted to play one thing from the gaffer, Pascal Janssen for New York City FC. We noticed it right away, and in commentary we just assumed that the reason the ball played back to Freese and then a cascade of boos at the Miracle Grove. Oh my God, Scott's Miracle Grove Field. It's not out here in front of me, so I can't remember. But it was pretty obvious. Sometimes you go and you're booed by the road supporters. The home supporters. But this one was obvious because of what happened in the Belgium match, and maybe this is something Freese will have to be putting up with everywhere he goes. But I asked, Roberto Abramowitz, who did the pregame show for us this week, asked about what Pascal Janssen thought of it with Freese.
We had a chat about it after the game, and he reassured me just what I saw also during the game. Didn't bother him just a bit. Obviously, he would have appreciated a warm welcome, but it is what it is, and people feel the way they feel, and they should be able to express their emotions like they feel necessary. But it made him stronger. He mentioned, in particular, he's from Philly, so he's used to worse, and he didn't flinch. He played a great game, in my opinion, and it's great to have him back with the team.
Yeah, it's Pascal Janssen talking about Matty Freese. And, in a way, you could almost – it's just like being the enemy. You go to different territories, and some players just thrive on that, right?
Absolutely. I remember in my career, I sometimes did. More often than not, I was happy, especially you're going to an away ground. That really spurs you on. Yeah. As long as you don't wilt under that pressure or under the constant barrage of boos. But Matt Freese isn't going to. It's not that vociferous. Look, Columbus Crew, it's a good crowd, and it's nice to see them in the game. I don't mind them booing. I think you said it on the car ride up here. It's great to see that they're into the game, they're into the sport. Right. I don't mind them having an opinion, whether it's right or wrong. Yeah. It's human emotion. Great, get involved, boo. A player of the quality of Matt's ability, or more importantly, Matt's mental strength, it's not going to affect him one iota. It doesn't mean he's not going to make a mistake, but it's not going to be because of the booing. It's because he's a goalkeeper. Sometimes they make mistakes, and I thought he dealt with it very, very well in the last game. Not just what the fans were saying, Glenn, but he knows what every single individual in the soccer sphere has been saying about him. Pascal Janssen even said the last thing anyone remembers of Matt Freese in the World Cup is him making that big error against Belgium. And of course, that's naturally human. We remember the error. We won't remember the saves he made previously in the games. He had a decent tournament up until he didn't.
Yeah.
And you know, as human beings, again, we like the negative, it seems, rather than the positive. We breed on hate and violence, it seems, and he's going to be able to put up with it, Matt Freese. I love his strength, and we saw him warming up earlier. We saw him doing his usual routine. He came over and fist bumped us earlier. He just looked. The best thing I can say is he looks the same Matt Freese as the one who went away. I think that's the best thing.
There's a smile, and he's ready to play. There is one game that has started among the 15 games tonight. I'm not quite sure why there was a 6:40 p.m. Eastern kickoff over at Sports Illustrated Stadium. Right across the river, the Red Bulls are playing host to Charlotte. And 7 minutes into that match, Pep Biel scored for Charlotte. So it's 1-0 Charlotte as we prepare for a 7:40 kickoff here at Yankee Stadium. Our airtime is 7:15 on the network. That's nycfc.com/radio. And tonight, as always, and we'll remind you when we're presenting a home match, we will also be on the Apple TV app. So you have the opportunity to sync our hometown commentary with the video that you see at the and we had a nice visit with Nick Bucati and Devin Kerr, and now we're telling you, don't listen to them, listen to us.
Well,
but they understand.
What do they know?
They are so understanding with that. Hey, another player, Malachi Jones, made his second straight start, and now it'll be third tonight. We're talking about at Nashville, May 23rd, before the World Cup break, and then he started also at Columbus on Wednesday night, both times in front of Hannes Wolf. So Malachi has undergone 2 surgeries, had a terrible double break of his leg in a collision with a goalkeeper 2 years ago. And so grateful was part of his message when he was at the pregame presser this week up at Orangeburg.
And in that moment, I learned to appreciate the time I had with this group and with the individuals here, because I think we got a lot of special people on and off the field. And for me, it's learning to appreciate the moments I get on the field with them. And that's what I've been trying to do since being back, is just making sure I walk off that game, whether it's my best performance or my not so best performance, to make sure I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to kick that football again and have friends and families that get to watch and support as well.
So that's the kind of guy Malachi Jones has been throughout. And is he 100%? Probably not, but he is fit to the level of making the starting 11 for Pascal Janssen, who has made no... Well, we just got handed the starting lineups.
If you can read that, you're a better man than me.
Put some ink in the printer.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Well, if you get me a magnifying glass, I still can't read that.
That is fantastic. Now, thankfully, somebody asked about the hair. Malachi, he had beautiful...
Well, I said it last game. I didn't know. I was like, who's the ATA?
I had no idea.
I mean, it was something I've been thinking about for a little while. And with the summer heat coming in, and I've just had the other hairstyle for a minute now. So I just needed a change, and I got a baby on the way. So I was trying to go for a little bit of an older look, but I think it took me down a few years.
Daddy doesn't want his kid to see the wild hair. Look at that.
No, what he means, he doesn't want the child clinging on to the dreads. That's what it is. We all know that kids will just grab for anything. But yes, congratulations to Malachi. I will go one. He's definitely not match fit. He's definitely not 100% fit. It's going to take him a good 10, 20, 30 games to be truly match fit. I love how he's dealt with the injury, though, Glenn. That could have sent many people down into a pit of depression. Not liking the game anymore, not enjoying humanity anymore, because through no fault of his own, not only did he get
remember,
injured
the
in
first
the first
surgery
place, didn't work.
It wasn't.
He was out for 20 months, 22 months.
Unbelievable.
That's more, an ACL surgery, you recover from that in 6 to 12 months. He was out for over double that time. So all the power to him. Let's hope he stays injury free. And looking at him, he's got bigger. Certainly up top, he's broader. The pace is still there. I don't think it's quite returned to how he was before, but that will come as well. And with games, you'll see certainly more consistency from him as well. And I really hope he does well, because he just appears to be, I don't know him, but he appears to be a wonderful character, Glenn. as well as a good footballer, and he's finally able to show that he's a good footballer, and he's starting again today.
Another old guy, Ashley Westwood, 12 minutes, 5 minutes after BL. It's 2-0 over at Sports Illustrated Stadium. Charlotte in front of the Red Bulls, and no, Westwood. That's a fitness guru. I would whatever he does in his program at his age, and because he plays every game for Charlotte, he doesn't miss any, and every minute.
And he thought his career was over. Part of the reason why he came here was he wasn't overly sure of his true fitness. And as you say, not only is he playing nearly every minute of every game, he's playing on AstroTurf at Charlotte as well, which at his age, 34, I think he is possibly just 35. He's just got into the MLS All-Star team as well, Glenn. I don't believe in the All-Star team, but it's great for him. So kudos to him that he has got in that team as well. He's certainly somebody that if you're at Charlotte and you're surrounded by Tim Ream and Ashley Westwood, you cannot but fail to learn from those guys. They are really true professionals in all senses of the word.
The starting 11 for New York City FC is out, and Malachi Jones is back in, as we said before, and Benny Traore is on the bench, replaced by Tylis Magno, who got an assist on the game winner. How about Augustine Ojeda? Draws the penalty. Nico Fernandez-Burcao with 3 penalties now. He's 3 for 3 of his 11 goals, 2 other direct set-piece goals. So 5 of his 11 goals have come from dead balls, but they needed a guy who could convert off of the set-piece category. So Nico Fernandez-Burcao, another fantastic effort, but Ojeda with the game-winning goal and then really the assist on the Fernandez PK.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't go down as an assist to him, but I'm absolutely with you. He did. He won the penalty. That's all you need. That is the assist for the goal in my eyes. It doesn't go down statistically. But yeah, Ojeda, I didn't think that he had the greatest of games, Ojeda, but look what he achieved and what he did and what he won and the goal he scored. Perfect. That's all you ask of your forward players in a way, isn't it? He had a positive effect in the game, and he produced in
composure in the area, which we haven't always seen.
We've never seen. I don't think we've ever seen the true composure that he had there.
Yeah.
He had time to think about it. He's normally not bad when he doesn't have time to think about it. The snapshots, he's okay with that. The minute he has time to think about it, he gets caught in 2 or 3 minds. But I thought that was very, very intelligent play from a young man still learning his trade. And just a really cool and calm finish. It was great to see.
Well, we've got Chris Brady on one end and Matt Freese on the other end. Brady to our right, which if you see the picture, you might not be able to see him at the moment. Freese at the far left. And they were mates for the U.S. men's national team. And you learned a little thing about Brady, how much respect he has for Matty. Didn't really know him. And then obviously they spent almost 2 months together.
Yeah, it was us, you and I so often do, Glenn. We talk to our counterparts in the opposition team. And I spoke to Joe, who works as a commentator for Chicago Fire. And he said, he asked Chris Brady about that. And Chris Brady said, I didn't know Matt Freese going in. So inevitably, you're a little skeptical. You don't know them really as a human being. You know that you want their spot and they want your spot. And so sometimes there's they can be a bit of needle. But Joe said that all Chris Brady could say about Matt Freese was what a great guy he was on the training ground and off the training ground on a match day as well. And he couldn't fail. Brady is a youngster. What is he, 22, 23 years of age? Couldn't fail but look up to Matt Freese and to Matt Turner, who really helped him out. And I think that's a lovely thing to hear for Matt Freese himself.
Absolutely.
And also, if you're a US men's national team fan, learning that there was that great camaraderie between those players. And I think anybody who watched any of the games apart from the Belgium game, you could see how together that squad was. And I mean the squad, I don't mean the starting lineup. When there was the water breaks, the hydration breaks, everybody got together, everybody was looking out for each other. And I thought it looked fantastic until that final game.
In their white warm-ups, the New York City Football Club has entered the field for their pregame activities as it's a 7:40 kickoff tonight. I want to leave with one thing here on the NYCFC pregame live. First, Matty and I every Monday morning, and we will be on at 11 a.m. this coming Monday with NYCFC Coffee Break. So we'll review these last 2 games, the first 2 of the second season, so to speak, in MLS. We're exactly at the halfway point. This is game number 17 out of 34 tonight. But during the World Cup break, you wondered how certain MLS teams would handle maybe ticket sales in particular, and there's these watch parties. Well, Christian Arnold of the New York Post, I'm going to present some figures to you. First, I'm going to play as Pascal in his presser was asked about, what his hopes and dreams were as far as maybe this World Cup bounce.
Having the World Cup here in the U.S. and in Canada and Mexico, hopefully will give this game another boost. And seeing new fans getting hooked up and enjoying this game is something that I hope will come of it. The people who haven't been to the New York City games is something that I'm looking forward to. So hopefully the World Cup has inspired a lot of people to come and watch more football. And where else better to come to either Queens or the Bronx to watch us play.
So Lewandowski undoubtedly is a bit of a draw, but ticket sales for this particular game are up 35% when you compare it to the same timetable as last year. And during the World Cup, New York City hosted these watch parties over the Billie Jean King Tennis Center, right in the vicinity of where Etihad Park will be. And so they're selling tickets for next year for the big opening. A 254% increase in ticket sales for 27 due specifically to the watch party. So it seems to have worked, at least in terms of interest, Matty.
Yeah, you cannot fail but to really be grabbed by the game. I think we've seen the viewing figures for the US men's national team games. They were off the charts, but more fans than ever have watched from their armchairs, from watch parties. I think that the country was really bought into it, Glenn. I think the country's really bought into soccer as a whole. But it needs to grow more and more. Of course, we know that. It's still below MLB. I'm sure it's still below NBA, still below NFL. It's probably on a par with NHL, probably above NHL maybe. But it's got a lot of catching up to do. But the potential is there. It really is. So it's a great sport to watch. We know that. As long as you don't expect every game to be Spain versus France when you're watching MLS, everything's going to be just fine. You have to realise the capabilities of the players on show, and this will only grow as well. The level
reasonable
of quality
expectations,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
As I told my wife after I took her to Italy, Ireland in 1994, that was the World Cup opener. It was her first soccer game. I was coaching the St. Peter's women at that time in our first year ever, where only 8 players showed up for the first day of preseason. I had to go into the cafeteria to find players. My point to her was, when you come to my games in the fall, they're not going to be quite the level of Italy, Ireland. But anyway,
but the game
for some reason that came to light.
The game can still be fun, and the game can still be exciting as long as you realise what levels it's at. And I think today
it was fun.
No
we upset Iona, the defending conference champions, with that team. I'm telling you right now. Oh, my word. All right, guys. We are just about set for the live commentary. We've got the pregame show, which features Pascal Janssen, coming up at 7:15 on the radio network, nycfc.com/radio, the New York City FC app, and the TuneIn app. And then at 7:30, we'll be joined by Apple TV. There's a drop-down app there in the lower right-hand portion of your screen, whether you're watching it at home or on your computer or on your phone or on your iPad, and that gives you the option of the hometown commentary, which is Matty and I, which is synced up with the video. So you have that choice if you want. Kickoff is at 7:40. I think we've got it covered.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you so much for joining us here, and enjoy the game, everybody.